Welcome to the Blended Learning Formula. My name is Peter Herving. I'm the CEO of Chart Learning Solutions. I would like to take the chance to give you a little bit background before we enter the Blended Learning Formula. I've been working for nearly 25 years on Swedish stock-listed companies around the world, from Sweden to most countries in Europe, in South Africa. I've been chairman in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia, in Singapore. I've been working several years in Australia. I've been chairman in the United States for many years, and also working in Chile and Brazil. This has given me a vast experience. My background is technology companies, and I've seen the difference leaders make. And I've also seen what a difference, for example, correct sales training makes in order to get great selling results. Many times, mixing it up with good marketing. And then getting recurring customers. So you have to have a great customer services. Everything from the consultants working there, or if you have help desk or any other type of customer service. Finally, I would like to mention all the project leaders, the teams, getting them to understand how to get great teams working together so they will make a really good result. So putting this together has been a magnificent task. Chart Learning Solutions Sweden, we are now in our 6th year, and that is consolidated experience from me being around the world and from our Chief Content Officer, who's been one of the leading trainers in the United States. But before we start, I would like to go through some of the benefits and what you will learn with this seminar or webinar. How to build and access a perfect blended learning course and courses. That is something which is really important today. E-learning works well in certain situations, but blended learn is the optimal way to do when you are looking at behavioral changes. The second outcome is really to understand how you can get a leadership development course launched and customized and ready to go within 1 week for your company or for yourself. And that could be for 1 person, 10 person, or actually several hundred leaders. We want you to take part of this webinar in full, and we will give you a free access to the absolute newly launched Emotional Intelligence Introduction course. The Emotional Intelligence is one of the future skills which we are sharing with you today. You will also get a discount voucher on a leadership course. We look forward having you aboard on this webinar. So let us look into what is the problem nowadays. Well, according to Stanford University and a research which LinkedIn also did in last autumn, then the soft skills are the #1 training priority amongst CEOs. And the finding here is that 75% of job success depends on soft skills mastery, and only 25% job success depends on technical skills. So this is really interesting, and we see that happen all over the world right now. So let's see what how we can handle this. A little bit about Chart and our key differentiators. We are 100% focused on soft skills. And soft skills, as you know, it's really where you have behavioral changes in place. We only work with what we call the researched competencies. So if you take a leadership development curriculum, there are 12 core competencies within a leadership development program within Chart, and they're all researched which every leader needs to have in order to become successful over time. We develop all our content in the US, and we do that for the global market. In short, we do have a global presence. What's also interesting is that any course comes in both e-learning format, but also in the blended learning format. I would say the majority of courses delivered today is only in e-learning format. But when you are working with behavioral changes, that is not enough. It's going to come in from the left side of the ear and go out on the right side. You need a more comprehensive training model, the blended learning formula, in order to achieve outstanding learning results. We are a Swedish company, but we have a strong US heritage, because in the old days, before we were an EdTech technology company, we were a training company based out of San Diego. And as you can see, our course content catalog, end of July, became on the watch list for best training catalogs, online training catalogs. We've had 5 Brandon Hall Awards. Brandon Hall Award is the Oscars within training, and it's the customers who are seeking them, and they are the one who gets the award. We have been EdTech finalists in London of all worldwide EdTech companies. We are part of the Microsoft Global Startup Program, which means that we run all our technology on the Azure cloud, and so on. Looking a little bit into creating personal learning journeys, because this is really what's happening in the industry right now. And I want to give this background before we look into the blended learning formula. So here you can see there are 2 ways. There's a formal way of the learning journey, and there's an informal way. The formal way has 2 areas. The push knowledge, that's really what we call compliance training. Typical harassment training, legal training, and so on. It can be product training also. That's a typical e-learning course, which is then answered on a quiz or a knowledge check and so on. Then you have the blended development. That's where you have a human interaction, either physically or virtually. And this is when you are working with behavioral changes. It's really the only way to get any knowledge to stick into people's mind. If we then look at the right side, informal, that's what's growing fast also. And most of us, if there's something we're wondering about, then we may go to YouTube or we do a Google search, and then we are on what we call self-directed on demand. But then there is also something called in the flow of work. And what does that mean? Well, if you're working in sales, for example, and you really find out the best practice, then you can actually get the resources to do a recording or a video and so on. And for those who are doing this really well, they push that into the blended development. So we get some really good stuff in there. SHOT's intellectual property. So we have developed the performance assurance system, which is the outcome of the blended learning formula. That's to reach outstanding results. The SHOT online content, which I mentioned, is based on research, core competencies, and best practices in leadership development, sales, customer service, and team build. We're internationally awarded and recognized, and we use the latest technology to deliver in Articulate Software 360. And the aim is premium perception based on a clear learning objectives and outcomes. It should be visually attractive, should be standardized delivery, but it also could be customizable. Any of our courses is delivered through the training accountability platform, which is built then for ease of use, scalability, the blended learning, and it's supported by Microsoft Azure. As part of the blended learning formula, you'll see there are assessments, and we provide 5 standard assessments. So, having said all this, let's move into the blended learning formula. And please remember, there's some great benefits moving forward, and we would like you to take part of all this. The performance assurance system, which is the blended learning formula, that really starts with assessments. And the performance assurance system is when you are working with behavioral changes, and we'll work it from any of our 300 courses available. So the assessments here, that really looks into what am I good at and where and what do I need to improve into. So let's say we are working in the leadership development. There are 12 core competencies. Then we are assessing these skills. And we're going to see where you are stronger, where you have more to learn. And we can consolidate this information to a group, a business line, or a company to get a full picture. So we map core competencies before and we can map it afterwards. This leads to the next step, the learning prioritization. If we look at the personalized journeys, this is becoming really important. So from a company perspective, we may say, well, within the leadership, these 6 core competencies, we need to have them established by all of our leaders. So that becomes a mandatory training. But then on top of that, there can be assigned individual improvement areas. In order to do this, we are using tools like Goal Action Planner, but we can also set up the customized curriculum to any company. The next step is what we call the personal mastery. And here we are working with best practice e-learning. So let's say we are training ourselves in time management. Then each of our courses, they are approximately 15 minutes long and 10 to 15, maybe 10 lessons within each of these courses. When you've gone through that, you do a traditional knowledge check, but the real stuff that starts to happen in what we call the application activities. This is built-in material to apply those skills into your work situation or your private situation. So let's say we are working on the time management. Then you get the task to start to apply that directly into your own situation. Start to see what is most important, what is less important, and how you actually do the correct prioritization. I promise you, you'll free up a lot of time. We always connect people 2 and 2. So that's called the buddy concept, and that goes also into the application activities. And even better, in the next step, is to build the learning community of that training group to exchange information, exchange experiences. In the end of this, we have something called accountability meeting. So each learner or student, when they are orally able to explain what they've learned and how they started to apply that skill into their daily work, then it starts to stick into their minds. And then you can start to ask, have I achieved my objectives as such? So here we come into the blended learning formula, and this is built into each and every course, all 300, into different curriculums. Let's look into the first step of the blended learning formula. That is the assessments. And in difference from a 360 assessment where you really look at a lot of soft skills around how you interact with people and so on, they are great as such. But here we are only looking at the hard skills, even though they are soft. So we look at the 12 core competencies in leadership development side. There is 8 core competencies in customer service, another 12 in the sales cycle management. And if we look at the leadership assessment, the 12 critical areas, and there's in total 60 questions for that. When you have done this, you will get the feedback directly. And here we can see the leadership development inventory and the ranking. Your high score, which in this case is ethics and then problem solving, to low scores about expertise, and parts of that is hiring right employees, the product management, reward and recognition, of course, critical for any leader. And as you can see here, the idea here is really to start with the lower ones to improve those, unless you decide in your company to run the complete leadership development program, which is really the best to do, because any one of us needs to continuously improve our learnings. We can also consolidate these assessments to a company level. So we can get all these here and see, okay, how are you doing in comparison to an industry average? And take and do your prioritization in your company moving forward. Let's look into the content. This is just a bits and pieces out of the content, and additional content is available in sales, customer service, building performance team, and something called territory sales training. Here we look at the 12 core competencies. And if you're really looking into this, you'll see it says 13 down here. How is that? Well, as you know, there are what we call the future skills coming. And one of the future skills coming right now is emotional intelligence. And that has become of the 12 core competencies, which now will be the 13 core competencies. As you will see, in each of these, that's a course bundle, time management, there are 5 courses. And within each and every course bundle, you'll find 5 courses which belong together. So we can look at the expertise and employee retention, which was low. Here we get about leadership expertise, how you build confidence in any situation, how you create credibility as a leader, hiring the right talent, which we know is so important, and retaining the right talent. You can put together any of these courses however you want in your own curriculum. So you don't have to follow the preset standard. That takes us 10 minutes to do, and up and ready you are to go. You will see these courses, they are absolute best practice. The look and feel is outstanding, it's high quality, and if you've done one, you'll recognize yourself into any one of the else. If it's a large organization, this saves so much time. And as you can see here, this is key negotiation, concept defined. There's 9 lessons in here. You can see your progress, and you have the knowledge checks. And within each and every course, there are the application activities. So this is editable PDFs, and they are built so they take you to your own situation where you start to apply. If you would be working with us or what we call a certified chart coach, then we can take this one step even further in the blended learning formula. So they have access to all of these documents in Word format. So we can put in specific scenarios in here for you. So if we're working with change management and you may have ideas on company changes coming up, you can put in scenarios and let people think about that and learn how to communicate, learn how the changes is to be done. So then we add these on top of here, the company scenarios. All of these here are built on the blended learning formula with the same setup, and this is the complete sales cycle management. And we have many award-winning companies in doing this with just outstanding sales moving forward. And here we have the customer cycle service management. And maybe you are working with Net Promoter Score. You know, if a company would be recommending your company to another, then training around that is important. And here you have the tools to do that type of training, because that's also behavioral changes, and you need the blended learning formula to get the results. And how can you then assess this training? Well, you assess it by using the training accountability platform. That's what it looks like here. You get into the lifelong learning journey. You start in the home stage. That's where you are with your thinking, and do the first courses. Then you move into the help stage. You start challenging yourself. When you start getting everything, you get to the prize where you get the rewards of your training. And you're going to end up on a higher level, and then you can start your next journey. Within each and every course here, you're assigned a coach which can support you in your training. So this is a leadership development program. And as I said, here it could be change management, career development, responsible initiatives, and maybe more. You decide what you need. Here is the sales cycle management. So any sales manager's dream to have everything up front, and you build your specific scenarios for prospecting, for qualifying, and so on. You get a sales team who excels in sales training. So how do we deliver our solutions to you? Well, we do that through Gold Partners, through our certified Chart coaches who have access to all the tools to make this necessary for you. And then, of course, directly from us, if you run online training. So let me repeat about the blended learning formula. This is the formula which is today winning awards around the world. This is where people excel in their learning outcomes. You will have access to assessments to see where you are, and then we can have that in the end to follow up to see your results. That becomes the learning prioritization for you and your organization. The personal mastery is based on best practice e-learning, the best practice in any of the topics which we have discussed. There is the knowledge check. That's the first area where you confirm what you're learning. But more important is the application activities. This is where we work buddy to buddy. We sit and discuss. Because when we are working on soft skills, it's not always you have one answer. There could be several answers. You need to discuss to learn more. In our system, we can connect you to your learning community and exchange additional information and experiences within that learning group. And have you achieved your objectives? By having a coach in place, that could be internal coach within your organization, will train you. It can be a coach by us or any of the freelancers around the world who are certified Chart coaches. They will make sure that the individual has the accountability to perform best possible. And when they are able to orally explain what they've learned and how they start to apply that learning into their daily work, then you'll see the great results. This is all built in. So let's just run this up to see what customers are saying. So one of the leading business universities, from Kate Robertson, I learned many new things in my leadership. For example, always prioritizing in order to become effective. Just great training. Let's make a jump to customer service training. I learned a lot during the customer service course and found it to be life-changing. The importance of time management and listening was extremely powerful to me personally. One of the sales manager selling actually e-learning courses, we have increased our leads inflow with 30% and increased our sales with +25 since I did the training. I would like to thank you so much for this webinar, and take the chance, use your free ticket to the introduction of emotional intelligence, and use your discount voucher on any of our leadership trainings. Thank you so much. And you can always send a direct email to myself, peter.horving@shartlearningsolutions.com, or to our global sales and partner manager, henny.lombard@shartlearningsolutions.com. Thank you so much.